Women in video games have been shown in many different lights, from the strong and heroic Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect series shown here, to games such as this, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, which is known for its cantu-clad female characters. It's also shown here. Sadly, the majority of video games choose to portray female characters in this way, and that can cause problems. The portrayal of women in video games is often demeaning and objectifying, and these views can imprint themselves onto the minds of gamers and shape the way that they view sexuality. Why do such a large amount of video games depict women in this way? One explanation is easily apparent: sales. Marxism tells us that sex is now a valuable marketing resource, and the gaming industry has taken this to heart. When advertising begins for a new video game, trailers are filled with sexual themes and imagery. The 2012 game Hitman Absolution used a trailer, shown here, of Agent 47, the main protagonist, being attacked by and then killing assassins dressed as sexy nuns. Hitman Absolution also went on to sell 3.6 million copies and was one of the highest selling video games of that year. In order to make sure that their product sells, game companies target the largest demographic of gamers: males. The male gaze is prevalent in video games due to this, with character models and cutscenes focused on sexualizing female characters. Capitalism makes companies look for the best possible way to make a profit, and with video games, the solution is often to create risque portions that will attract male gamers to buy these $70 titles. The problem isn't just how women look in video games, but also what the characters' roles are in the story. Many women characters are used simply as a background sex object with no real purpose in the plot. A lot of video games also use female characters as a disposable plot device to characterize male characters and how well they treat women. The hero will treat women with respect and try to protect them, while the antagonist will often show women contempt and be misogynistic.
Ay, mamacita, ¿dónde has estado toda mi vida? Ve, mujeres, ay, me gusta.
Here, the woman is a foil that reflects the main character's attributes, and the violence against them, sexual or not, is merely a tool. This type of sexualization can also lead to reinforcement of women's oppression. Relationships in these games are almost often inside Rubin's charm circle, conforming to heterosexual norms of monogamy, defined gender roles, and them being about the same age. They satisfy the player's wants of sexiness and change the way a character is interpreted, but the female character actually has no character at all. Women characters are also often stuffed into the role of damsel in distress, where she's in need of male protection. One classic example of this is Princess Peach from the Super Mario Bros. Series, who is famous for always being captured, and it's your goal to save the poor weak princess. This perpetuates the stereotype that women are always in need of help, and would be trapped in a horrible circumstance if it weren't for the valiant hero. This trope is also found in many literary works, but in mediums such as video games, where the action is interactive, and the player has a much larger investment in the outcome of the story, it can be much easier for these views to latch onto the minds of the player. The way these characters are portrayed have a tangible effect on gamers. A study conducted in 2010 showed that participants who played a sexually charged game, Leisure Suit Larry, shown here, were faster than the other participants at recognizing sexual words and sexually objectifying descriptions of women. Participants who played Leisure Suit Larry also self-reported a greater tendency to sexually harass women. While the study was limited to only one game and could only test the short-term results of playing a sexually charged game, the results still show that games alter the mentality of the player. This could lead to some players to develop a misogynistic tendency and have an effect on the whole generation being raised on these video games. With the average gamer 13 and older spending about 6.3 hours per week on video games, the images and lessons being told to them through this medium become very important. Video games are a growing section of the entertainment industry, and it isn't like they'll be going away anytime soon. As these games make their way into more households, it is important to note what messages are coming across from all these hours of playtime. Right now, most games contain the same tropes of a heroic man's man type of character that actually has emotions and development, and side women characters, whose only role is to be hot, female, and develop characters that aren't their own. Most of the time, female characters are put in weakened positions, where they are either in need of help, or just a pretty part of the game to entice the player into playing more. And these lessons stay with the player, since he or she is actively deciding what their character does and doesn't do. These may be the reasons why some gamers are so vitriolic to those who argue against the patriarchal gaming community. There is hope, as newer games seem to be turning their backs on the old beaten tropes. We will have to wait and see what comes out of the gaming industry machine next.